What would you do if your HOA president tried to foreclose on your fully paid house over a $57 fine you never received? I'm about to tell you how my nightmare HOA battle turned into a $2 million lawsuit that ended with the president behind bars, the entire board removed, and me owning the community clubhouse. This is the wildest homeowner association story you'll ever hear. And if you're dealing with HOA tyranny right now, smash that subscribe button because what I'm about to reveal could save your home. Let's get into it. My name is Marcus, and 5 years ago, I bought my dream home in Sunset Hills, a planned community just outside Phoenix, Arizona. The house was perfect. 4 bedrooms, a beautiful backyard with a pool, mountain views, and I paid cash after selling my tech startup. No mortgage, no debt, completely mine. Or so I thought. What I didn't know was that I was moving into a neighborhood controlled by the most corrupt, power-hungry HOA board I could have ever imagined, led by a president named Patricia Morehouse, who treated the homeowner association like her personal fiefdom. For the first 6 months, everything seemed normal. I paid my HOA dues on time every quarter, kept my lawn immaculate, followed every single rule in their 78-page covenant document. I even volunteered for the community cleanup day. I was the model homeowner. But Patricia had her eyes on my property from day one, and I didn't realize it until it was almost too late. It started small, as these things always do. I came home one day to find a violation notice on my door, claiming my mailbox was the wrong shade of black. Not a different color, mind you, the wrong shade of black. The notice said I had 15 days to repaint it to match the approved community standard or face a $50 fine. I thought it was ridiculous, but I wanted to be a good neighbor. So I went to the hardware store, bought the paint color listed in their specifications, and repainted the mailbox that weekend. Problem solved, right? Wrong. 2 weeks later, another notice. This time, they claimed my mailbox was still non-compliant, and I now owed the $50 fine plus a late fee of $7. I was confused because I had literally used the exact paint they specified. I decided to attend the next HOA board meeting to clear this up in person. That meeting changed everything. I walked into the community clubhouse on a Tuesday evening in March. There were maybe 12 other homeowners there, most of them elderly residents who seemed terrified to speak. Patricia sat at the head of the table like a queen on her throne, flanked by 4 other board members who nodded at everything she said. When I raised my hand to address the mailbox issue during the homeowner comment period, Patricia cut me off before I could finish my second sentence. "Mr. Richardson," she said, ice in her voice, "the Architectural Review Committee has photographic evidence that your mailbox remains out of compliance. Your appeal is denied." Next item. I tried to explain that I had used the exact paint specified, but she literally banged a gavel and had the HOA security guard escort me out for disrupting the meeting. I left humiliated and angry, but I still had no idea what I was really dealing with. Over the next 3 months, the violations multiplied like rabbits. My trash cans were placed at the curb 6 inches too far to the left. My garden hose was visible from the street for more than the allowed 2 hours after use. My car was parked in my own driveway at an angle that was somehow not perpendicular enough to the garage door. Every single violation came with a fine. $50 here, $75 there. I paid them all because I didn't want the hassle. But I started documenting everything with photos, timestamps, and detailed notes. Then came the violation that made me fight back. I received a notice claiming I had installed an unauthorized structure in my backyard without architectural approval. The unauthorized structure? A small wooden playhouse I had built for my 7-year-old daughter, Emma. It was 6 feet by 6 feet, painted in cheerful yellow and white, and completely invisible from the street or any neighbor's property because my backyard was surrounded by a tall privacy fence. The fine was $500, and the notice demanded I remove the playhouse within 7 days. I was done playing nice. I hired a lawyer named David Chen who specialized in HOA disputes. David reviewed my case and immediately spotted something interesting. The HOA's covenants, conditions, and restrictions document stated that any structure under 8 feet in height, located in a fenced backyard that was not visible from common areas or neighboring properties, did not require architectural approval. My playhouse was completely compliant with their own rules. David sent Patricia and the board a letter explaining this and demanding they rescind the fine. Patricia's response was to double down. She sent me a letter stating that the board had reinterpreted the rules and my playhouse now required retroactive approval, which they were denying. The fine increased to $1,000, and they gave me 3 days to remove it, or they would place a lien on my property. That's when I discovered something that changed the entire trajectory of this nightmare. David subpoenaed the HOA's financial records as part of building our case. What he found was absolutely shocking. Patricia had been systematically embezzling money from the HOA for over 3 years. She had created fake vendor invoices for landscaping services, pool maintenance, and community repairs that never actually happened. She had paid these fake invoices to a company that was actually owned by her husband. Over 3 years, she had stolen nearly $400,000 from the Homeowner Association's reserve fund. But it got worse. David discovered that Patricia had been running a targeted harassment campaign against specific homeowners whose properties she wanted to acquire. She would bury them in violations and fines. And when they couldn't pay or got fed up and tried to sell, she would use her position to make sure the HOA placed liens on their properties, which killed any potential sales. Then, she would have the HOA foreclose on the liens and purchase the properties at auction through shell companies for pennies on the dollar. She had already done this too for families in our community. My house, with its prime lot and mountain views, was next on her list. I was horrified, but I also now had ammunition. David advised me to stop paying any fines and let Patricia make her move while we gathered more evidence. It was risky, but I trusted him. Sure enough, within 6 weeks, I received a notice that the HOA was placing a lien on my property for unpaid fines, totaling $3,200. The notice said, if I didn't pay within 30 days, it would begin foreclosure proceedings on my house that I owned free and clear. I let the 30 days pass. Patricia filed for foreclosure. That's when we struck. David filed a lawsuit in county court against Patricia Morehouse personally, the HOA board, and the Homeowner Association itself. We sued for fraud, embezzlement, abusive process, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and about 6 other causes of action. We included all the financial evidence showing the embezzlement, all the documentation of the fake violations, and affidavits from the 4 families Patricia had already victimized. The local news got wind of the story, and it exploded. Suddenly, Patricia's scheme was front-page news. HOA president accused of multi-year embezzlement and foreclosure scheme ran in the Arizona Republic. The television stations camped out in front of Patricia's house. Homeowners in Sunset Hills who had been too afraid to speak up started coming forward with their own stories of harassment and impossible violations. The state attorney general's office opened a criminal investigation. The HOAS insurance company hired independent forensic accountants who confirmed everything David had found. Plus, they discovered Patricia had stolen an additional $100,000 we hadn't even uncovered yet. The total embezzlement was $500,000. Patricia tried to fight it at first, claiming she had done nothing wrong and that I was a problem homeowner who refused to follow simple rules, but the evidence was overwhelming. Her lawyer eventually advised her to take a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. The judge sentenced her to 6 years in state prison and ordered her to pay full restitution to the HOA. But my lawsuit was separate from the criminal case, and we pushed forward. The HOA's insurance policy covered up to $2 million in damages for board member misconduct. David argued that Patricia's actions, enabled by a board that either participated in or was willfully blind to her schemes, had caused me severe emotional distress, damaged my property rights, and put my family's home at risk. We had documentation of my daughter asking why the mean lady was trying to take our house. We had records of my therapy sessions for anxiety and stress. We had everything. The insurance company didn't want this going to trial with all the media attention. They offered a settlement, $1.8 million, removal and permanent banning of the entire HOA board, installation of an independent management company, and a complete revision of the community's enforcement procedures with homeowner input. I accepted. But here's the truly poetic justice part. The HOA, now under new management, Had to sell assets to stay solvent after Patricia's embezzlement had drained the reserves. The community clubhouse, where Patricia had ruled like a tyrant. I bought it at auction for $200,000, which I used part of my settlement money to purchase. I renovated it, and now I rent it out for events. With all proceeds going to a fund I established to help homeowners in our community who face financial hardship. Emma's playhouse is still standing in our backyard, and I added a little plaque that says "Freedom Fort." The story gets even better. After Patricia went to prison, investigators discovered she had done the same scheme at 2 previous HOA communities before moving to Sunset Hills. Those cases are still working through the courts. But it looks like she'll be spending a lot more than 6 years behind bars when all is said and done. As for me, I'm still in my dream home. The new HOA board is made up of reasonable people who actually care about the community rather than power and money. We've reformed the rules to be sensible and fair. Violations are now only issued for legitimate health and safety concerns or things that genuinely impact property values, not mailbox paint shades. And I've become an advocate for HOA reform, speaking at community meetings across the state about the warning signs of board corruption and how homeowners can protect themselves. The lessons I learned from this nightmare are invaluable. First, document everything. Every interaction, every notice, every payment, every photo. I had boxes of documentation that became the foundation of our case. Second, know your rights and your HOA's governing documents better than the board does. Patricia counted on homeowners not reading the fine print. Third, don't be afraid to lawyer up early when you spot corruption or abuse. I waited longer than I should have, and it almost cost me my home. Fourth, there's power in numbers. Once the news broke, dozens of homeowners came forward with their own stories. That collective voice made it impossible for Patricia to hide. If you're dealing with an abusive HOA right now, please don't suffer in silence. There are lawyers who specialize in this. There are state laws that protect homeowners, and there are advocacy groups that can help. You have more power than you think. Patricia Morehouse thought she was untouchable. But her entire empire came crashing down because one homeowner decided to fight back. My daughter Emma is 12 now, and she still plays in that playhouse sometimes, though she's getting a bit too big for it. She knows the story of how we almost lost our home but fought back and won. I hope it teaches her that standing up to bullies and doing what's right matters, even when it's hard and scary. To everyone watching this who's subscribed to Neighbor Wars HQ, thank you for letting me share my story. If this helped you, or if you've dealt with HOA horror stories of your own, please leave a comment below. Hit that like button if you believe homeowners deserve to be treated fairly. And share this video with anyone you know who's struggling with their homeowner association. Together, we can shine a light on these abuses and make our communities better places to live. And remember, your home is your castle. Don't let anyone take that away from you.